Thanks for taking a few minutes to watch this video from virtualroof.com, where we provide cloud computing services that allow your employees to work from anywhere and still be under one virtual roof. We do this by hosting over 300 software applications and their associated data. All of those applications and data can be accessed and used from any of the devices you see on this screen. If you'd like more information about us, you can go to our website. You could also do a search for virtualroof.com on YouTube. You can send us an email at info@virtualroof.com, or you can call us at 866-932-2281. We often get asked what the difference is between our hosting services when we host the desktop versions of software versus hosting using Act4Web. And you've got several options with Act4Web. You can either go directly to Sage for that, or you can go to one of the hosting partners for that. And there are a lot of differences, and so I thought I'd do this video just to highlight those for you, and so that you understand some of that. So initially what we're going to do is we're going to start out by looking at Sage's website and what one of the first differences is right off the bat. And as you can see, I'm using Google Chrome, which is my preferred internet browser. And by the way, if you go and check the statistics, Google Chrome is the most used browser there is nowadays. But if you look down here at the system requirements, this is Act via the web. And if you look down here, client system requirements, that means the person or the user of your database, what they have to have on their computer in order to access Act4Web. And if you notice, the browsers that are supported are Internet Explorer and Firefox. Google Chrome's not on the list, and Safari are not on the list. So it's only those two browsers that are supported. Now Safari is supported in the mobile client if you're using an iPad or an iPhone, but it's not supported if you're using, let's say, a Mac notebook or a Mac desktop. You cannot use Safari, which is the native browser on a Macintosh. You also can't use Google Chrome. And virtualroof.com supports all browsers. The other differences, we're going to just jump right in, and I've got down here at the bottom, I've got my virtual desktop running. This is Act on the virtual desktop. In fact, if I switch over to my desktop, this is a Windows desktop. It's got Microsoft Office on it, it's got QuickBooks on it, and it's got Act on it and a number of Act add-ons. And this desktop would look exactly the same if you're logging in from a Windows machine or from a Mac or from an iPad or from an Android. So it's exactly the same. We also support Linux and Unix operating systems. All right, so let's go back over to Act just real quick. One of the ways I can quickly show you some differences is in the drop-down menus. And so if we go up to the top, if we just kind of look through some of these, look how long the report, just kind of quickly glance at this, look at the tools pull-down menu, look at the right pull-down menu, schedule pull-down menu, contacts, lookup, view, edit, and file. Okay, so you see all of those. All right, let's switch back to my local machine where I have Act4Web running. And we're logged in using Internet Explorer. And if we'll go to the context view, so we're looking kind of at the same deal here. First of all, you notice you don't even have as many pull-down menus. The edit menu's not here, file pull-down menu, probably a few others. If we go to tools, look how short that menu is. Reports, look how short the right menu is, schedule menu, and then we have the lookup menu. Okay, so that's first of all. The next thing we're going to look at is in Act4Web, there's no right mouse click menu option. There is, but what it's giving you is your browser, Internet Explorer's shortcut menu. This is not an Act menu bar here, or menu item, shortcut menu. If we go back to our virtual desktop, where we're hosting the desktop version of Act, if I right click, I can add a new contact, duplicate a contact, schedule an activity, write a letter, boom, 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 all the way down the line here, so that I've got that. If I right click on a field, I can do a lookup company. I can select all, I can copy and paste the contents of that field. Whatever. These are, again, if I go to my task list and I right click, I get another menu. Okay, if I go to my contact, back to my contacts, and I go to list view and right click down here, I get another menu. None of these are available in Act for Web because the right mouse button does not work in Act for Web. Also, in the desktop version of Act, which we host, if you go up to Tools, you can go to Define Fields. And this is where you would customize your database to meet your specific company's needs. So you can add fields, you can change the names of fields, and you can change the properties on fields. You can modify your drop-down list, so you've got things that are specific to your company in the drop-down list and things like that. You can make drop-down lists required, all sorts of things like that that you would want to be able to do if you were running a business. In Act for Web, you do not have the availability to do any of that. If you go to Tools, notice that there's no defined fields. So no ability to customize your database. If you're hosting with an Act partner, you would have to contact them and get them to customize your database for you. Some of them will offer a certain number of fields for free, but you are beholden to their schedule as to when that can be done. So if you're working on the weekend or in the middle of the night, you wake up and say, hey, I got a great idea. You can't do anything about it until you can reach your hosting company and have them make the change, and they may charge you for that, they may not, and again, you have to wait until they can do it. You cannot modify the layout screen in Act for Web. Again, if I go back to Tools, there's no ability here to customize my layout screen. So I can't move fields around. If I want this ID status field over here at the top left, so the first field that I see shows me who this person is in relation to my business, or if I want things to show up in red, like maybe the contact names, anytime there's a person's name show up in red, I don't have that ability. Again, we go back to our virtual desktop where we're hosting the desktop version of Act. Look, this layout screen's been completely modified. If I go to Tools and I go to Design Layouts, Contact, I can customize my layout screen. Here I am. And so now I can go in here and I can click on this first name field, for example, drag it up here wherever I want to put it, and now all of a sudden I've got the ability to manage or to customize my layouts, whether it's a contact layout, a group layout, a company layout, whatever. I can customize these layouts. I can also make things show up in red. I've got red labels on some fields here that are required in our database, and I can add new fields and things like that that are specific to our business. Okay, the Smart Task in Act desktop version, you're able to manage your smart tasks, which means you can add new smart tasks, you can edit existing smart tasks, and so on and so forth. And you cannot do that in Act for Web. You can run your smart task. In fact, let's just switch over to Act for Web. See here, we've got new smart tasks, edit. I can edit an existing smart task and do whatever. I can delete smart task. If I go back to Act for Web, and I go to the Schedule pull-down menu, I can run Smart Task, I can show pending Smart Tasks, manage Scheduled Smart Task, show Smart Task status. If I go to Manage Scheduled Smart Task, all I have the ability here to do is to check off Smart Tasks that I want to run or not run. That's it. I can't add Smart Tasks, I can't edit existing ones. Okay? Smart Task is a huge feature in Act that gives you the ability to do all sorts of really neat stuff that will automate your business even more. And so, again, that's the ability to edit those or add those has been taken away with Act for Web. There's no drag and drop features on the calendar. A lot of our users love to be able to easily move their schedule around. Okay, in desktop version you can drag and drop. If I go to click on this phone call, for example, I have to change the date here. I can't drag it. Let's say I want to move it a week out. Look, it just highlighted everything on my calendar. What happens if I hit delete right now? I don't know. This is a demo database. Let's see. Nothing. Okay, so there's nothing I can do there, and I can't drag and drop. In the desktop version, if I go to the calendar view and I go to my monthly view, I can drag and drop stuff. So if I want this activity to be moved to the 14th, I just drag it to the 14th. This happens to be a recurring activity. That's why it was asking me about that. So I've got that, and I can move stuff wherever I want. So I just drag and drop and say, okay, I want to do this on Monday. So I drag and drop it over to Monday. Okay, so let's see what's next. You cannot customize menus and toolbars. Look, in the right pull-down menu, in the Tools pull-down menu, if I wanted to customize my menus and toolbars, I come down here and I can customize my menus and toolbars, so I can adjust what's on this menu, okay, or what's on my toolbar. In Act for Web, you cannot do that. We go back over there, Tools, and there's no Customize option on the pull-down menu, so I cannot customize my menus and toolbars. Okay? All right. You can't add activity types. If I go to schedule, notice I can schedule a call, meeting, or to-do, or other, but I have no ability to manage or change my activity types. In Act desktop version that we host, if you go to schedule, you go down to manage, and you can go to activity types. And look, we added some specific activities types here. HCCMO meeting, we added proposals sent, and you can add as many of these types of activities as you want to help you better manage your activities within your company. We do webinars, and so we wanted to be able to schedule and have our calendar filtered specifically for webinars so that we know what our webinar schedule looks like. In Act for Web, you can't do that. You cannot edit and create new reports. So if I go into my report pull down menu, look down at the bottom here, it says edit template, or I can add new template. So if you want some custom reports, or you want to add new reports or edit existing ones, in Act for Web, if we go and take a look at the reports pull down menu, there is no edit option. And that also goes, by the way, for labels and envelopes and things like that. You cannot, a lot of people do custom labels, especially like at Christmas time. They might fancy it up a little bit by adding, some cool colors or something like that, or images to their labels. You can't do that in Act for Web. All right. Database maintenance. This isn't really that big of a deal. If you go to database maintenance under Act for Web, the only thing you get to do is lock and unlock your database. That's it. You can't re-index a database, which is not too big of a deal. You just make sure that whoever's hosting it for you re-indexes it on a regular basis. The biggest thing here is that you cannot purge old data. And that's one of the nice things that you can do in the desktop version of Act. If you go to Tools and Database Maintenance, we can come in here and remove old data. And this is kind of nice if you've got a bunch of if you've been using Act for a long time and you've got a bunch of history in there and a bunch of maybe notes or things like that, you can create an archived copy of your database and then have a working copy so that you can purge all of that old history and all those old notes and cleared activities. There are certain times when you need to do that because the database, the performance of the database slows down. In Act for Web, you can't do that. All right. The other big thing, and this will kind of wrap things up, is the add-on software products. Listen, we use these add-on software products to a great extent on our servers, and we have a number of them, the really nice ones, the really good ones installed. For example, we have our Act database linked to our QuickBooks company file. You could also link Act to Peachtree and things like that. You cannot do that in Act for Web because the add-on products don't work, or most of them don't work in Act for Web. So, for instance, Top Line Dash. Top Line Dash does work in Act for Web, but if you're hosting with Sage, they won't install it on their servers. So it really depends on who your hosting company is whether or not they'll install it. This dashboard here, you cannot get this dashboard here no matter who you're hosting with, because this dashboard is actually reading the QuickBooks data that's connected to the Act database. And so this is a dashboard of products sold in our QuickBooks data. So I'm actually able to pull a list of contacts that have bought a particular product and send them all an email out of Act, either using Act or SwiftPage. Oh, SwiftPage, by the way, you cannot use SwiftPage marketing or email marketing with Act. That's huge. So if I go to Write, notice I have Sage eMarketing here. Okay, there it is. And I can send out email blasts and do all kinds of really cool stuff with Sage eMarketing. If I go back to Act for Web, you can't do that. Look, here's the right pull-down menu. Do you see Sage eMarketing? Nope, it's not there because it doesn't work. All right, so that's another add-on product. There's a number of others like Call on CRM, which is an integration technology, and it's represented, I'm going to go back to my contact screen, it's represented by this bar right here, okay? And it integrates with your voice over IP system. That will work in Act for Web, but again, whoever's hosting Act for Web for you has to actually have that installed on their servers. Sage won't install that on their servers. So if you're looking at Sage's hosting services for Act, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get any add-ons with them. We also do things like duplication. We have an add-on called Duplication Wizard. We have an add-on called Field Calculations, which actually I use. We have some customers that use it to calculate age. We've got an age field here. I'm giving up a little bit of information about myself, but my birthday's in 1963. I'm 40, and I'm going to be turning 50 this year. Whoa! And we actually have an add-on product called Exponential that does age calculations. It's right here. I'm sorry, that's auto numbers. Here it is. Automatic field calculations. Can't do that in Act for Web. So that's pretty much it. There's a number of things that you cannot do. The other big difference with Act for Web is it is just Act. And you're not getting like space on the server to install other things or to save other files or to use other applications. In our situation, if we go back to the desktop, keep in mind we're hosting all kinds of applications. We host over 300 different software applications and their associated data. If I go to my computer, click on Explore, you can see we've got drives on the server: H, K, K drive, S drive. And those are all shared drive. Well, the H drive is not shared. That's a personal private drive for that user. But the K drive is a shared drive and the S drive is a shared drive where you can share files with other folks on your team. And so that's really the difference. Most of the Sage partners, hosting partners, charge about $30 a month to host Act. That does not include the software license for Act. Act themselves, or Sage themselves, charges, I think it's $50, but they have a minimum number, and then they have a contract term that you have to sign, and the $50 includes the license. We charge $49 for our basic package. It doesn't include the license, but you see how much more you get because, again, we're hosting full Windows desktops, and you're able to do so much more with that. Thanks again for taking a few minutes to watch this video from virtualroof.com. If you'd like more information about us, you can go to our website. You could also do a search for virtualroof.com on YouTube. You can send us an email at info@virtualroof.com, or you can call us at 866-932-2281.